So,
but valid
but,
for me
but
to
then if it was rigged for a specific group of people, Asian Americans are the richest by race. The second are Indian Americans, people from India, and the third would be white Americans.
Yeah, I'm aware.
Yeah. So how is why is that?
How do you feel about phrenology?
What are you saying about racial inequality then on the other side?
So why? No, but explain to me why that is.
Okay,
I could tell you why it is
maybe
though.
the top 1 or 5% are the richest. What about the global South? What about the poverty? What about the lowest?
What about okay, so let's talk about
the lowest 50%? What are
in America
their,
or globally?
No, in America. And globally, as well
Okay.
as
Bring up
globally.
Venezuela
What's their
now, 'cause
racial
they love doing
background?
that.
Well,
What's the
I mean-
racial demographic of that? Mostly people of color, not white people.
But the Asian Americans are at the top of the socioeconomic ladder relatively.
A very small number.
No, in the aggregate. In the aggregate, if you look at the way the data is compiled and presented to us, they are the richest per capita group by race in America. Why? Because over the last 50 years, Asian Americans graduated from high school in record numbers. They did not commit crimes.
Because we're smarter than you. Sorry.
Oh, okay. That's an that's a racist argument you just made.
Okay.
I'm not going to get into eugenics, but you just said.
Hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. So if you are new here, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. So today I'm with
Professor Peter.
and today we are reacting to
How childish LIB students can't stand facts.
woo. So guys, please stay tuned. Let's enjoy this wonderful video together.
If the Constitution was written to benefit only white people, why is it that Asian Americans are the richest people by race in America right now?
Because the Constitution wasn't written to make people rich.
Was the Constitution written in Korean?
The Constitution was written to make people slaves.
Yeah, yet Korean Americans and Vietnamese are actually benefiting the greatest from this American experiment.
Actually, in California, as a direct result of Asian success, there were laws passed that stopped Asian Americans, or Asians period, Asian immigrants, from being able to become citizens or own land.
Chinese
as a direct
Exclusion Act,
result
you don't recall
of
these history
Asian
lessons?
success. So no,
you're
like
exa-
structurally there have been
You're- no,
so
you're-
many
you're-
roadblocks.
so you're proving my
in the
point
way.
Can you
precisely.
No, I'm
She's like trying
not.
to make a point.
So your point is that we were racist against Asian Americans, and now they're the richest in America. So they went through a vast time of inequities, and they rose above it, and they're much richer per income and wealth than white Americans.
No, that happens
that have
because
to do with
Americans
the
realized that they f***ed up and they lost all of the labor that was going to be possible for people to work on farms in California in order to exploit the land that was in California. There was no way for them to have people to work there, and that's why they brought immigrants back. That's why.
So what social program was
America was
designed?
literally built on our backs.
That again, swearing and saying things like that doesn't make your argument any more valid. But
Okay, but it helps me take out a little bit of my anger.
that's fair. So,
Which is valid for me to do.
then if it was rigged for a specific group of people, Asian Americans are the richest by race. The second are Indian Americans, people from India, and the third would be white
Yeah,
Americans.
I'm aware.
Are you just
Yeah.
gonna-
So how is why is that?
How do you feel about
What are
phrenology?
you saying
Why-
about racial inequality then on the other side?
So why? No, but explain to me why that is.
Okay,
I could tell you why it is
maybe
though.
the top 1 or 5% are the richest. What about the global South? What about the poverty? What about the lowest?
What about okay, so let's talk about
the lowest 50%? What are
In America
their,
or globally?
No, in America and globally, as well
Okay.
as
Bring up
globally.
Venezuela
What's their
now, 'cause they
racial
love doing
background?
that.
Well,
What's the
I mean-
racial demographic of that? Mostly people of color, not white people.
But the Asian Americans are at the top of the socioeconomic ladder
A
relatively.
very small number.
No, in the aggregate. In the aggregate, if you look at the way the data is compiled and presented to us, they are the richest per capita group by race in America. Why? Because over the last 50 years, Asian Americans graduated from high school in record numbers. They did not commit
Because
crimes.
we're smarter than you. Sorry.
Oh, okay. That's an that's a racist argument you just made.
Okay.
I'm not going to get into eugenics, but you just said you're smarter. I don't think that. I don't think any race is smarter.
There are other races that haven't done what you're describing.
Because
haven't seen
okay,
the
so
economic gains
okay, let me. So the two groups that are poorest by race in America are Native American Indians and African Americans. We've done the most to try to help them over the last 50, 60 years. We have the Bureau of Native American Affairs in the federal government. We spent $22 trillion in the federal government trying to help Black America, and Black America is poorer today than before we tried to start to help them. $22 trillion.
Racism that just exists in the system.
Okay, so your argument, institutional racism. My argument is failed policies that Lyndon Baines Johnson, a bitter and committed racist, you and I will both agree, and a dyed-in-the-wool Democrat who didn't want to sign the Civil Rights Act, passed the Great Society, which clustered.
JFK was going to sign the Civil Rights Act?
Well, he wanted to before he was.
He was definitely not going to.
So you're right. The Democrats were opposed to it. You're right.
Oh, no,
the Northeast Democrats.
LBJ was definitely for it because he was from South Texas.
So what did he call the Great Society bill?
Oh no, LBJ was a racist because he was an old white man.
Are all white people racist?
I would say that I think white people have an implicit bias. You can argue with me. I think white people have an implicit bias.
Do you understand how racist it is to think that all white people are racist?
We don't experience systematic racism. We don't experience racism when we try and
Okay.
Power structures.
Okay, so let's talk about that. So then how did Asian Americans climb up the power structure?
That has nothing.
I just did.
No, can anyone explain that to me? Because I can't.
Most Asian Americans here, okay? You said Native Americans, Black Americans.
Are the two
they're
poorest by race? That's
what
inarguable.
keeps them in common, okay?
What keeps them in common?
They've been here for a while.
Okay, so you know what
Native
keeps them in common?
Yeah.
They also get the
explain,
most
okay.
government benefits per capita than any other group in America. Because the way government programs are...
That's a symptom, not a cause.
No. And you can go to almost a direct date. Black America is poorer today than before we started helping Black America. The welfare programs...
By helping even by desegregating, I don't think that's much help.
Okay, so how about this? The Black single motherhood rate in year 1964 was 22%. Now it's 74%. How on earth does that happen? It happens because we subsidized single motherhood through the 70s, 80s, and 90s by saying if you get married, you lose your government benefits.
Birth control for lower income people. That's why.
Then why is it only their community, the Black community, that saw a spike in the single motherhood rate?
Because
They're
they
the
don't
lowest
have the
income.
same access to it because they've been written out of those
But
laws.
weren't Asian Americans written out of the laws in the 1940s and 50s?
No, because they are not black.
Oh, okay, so it's only Black people that experienced a tough 20th century.
No, I'm talking about black people that were specifically written out of these laws.
Asian Americans were written out of laws in the 1940s.
I
We put
understand.
Asian Americans in internment camps.
I understand.
So what you
did
could.
that?
I'm sorry.
You did that?
Well, California Democrats did that in the 1940s under the direction of Franklin Delano Roosevelt.
Switched positions on those ideas. Did you take U.S. history?
Yeah, I did. That is one of the biggest lies ever taught in U.S. history, and we could talk about that. So, Democrats have always been about control and always been about power. That is the continuity. Republicans have always been about freedom. The Republican Party was founded in 1860 as an anti-slavery... Freedom for all people. The Republican Party was founded as an anti-slavery party for rights of all Americans in 1860, founded in Ripon, Wisconsin, and it has not changed. It has always been about the equality and freedom of all people. The Democrat Party has always been about division.
What do you think about the war on drugs that the Republican
No, I
Party
actually would have more sympathy with you about decriminalizing marijuana and the war on drugs. So. Yeah, I know it's funny to believe in freedom, but
How come whenever we bring up
War on
something...
drugs. How is that about freedom?
I'm sorry.
But like Reagan was one of the biggest proponents of the war on drugs. How is that freedom? How is that pro-freedom?
Again, it was a bipartisan agreement, but I would agree. I think that's a valid point.
I'm sorry, who are you?
How come every single thing...
I think it's well, I mean, I know it might amaze you to say that I actually said you made a valid point that Republicans have been hypocrites on the war on drugs over the last 30, 40 years.
But then can you also
Okay.
recognize that the war on drugs disproportionately hurt people of color, and that's one of the reasons why they haven't experienced the economic gains that you say everybody should have experienced?
So how big of a reason do you think that contributed to the rising single motherhood rate in urban
Pretty
communities?
significantly.
I mean,
So many
if the
people
dad's
with
in jail, then
mental
So why is it only their community that saw the spike in single motherhood
Because
rate?
crack
Despite
So many
cocaine
black
has a-
fathers were being sent to prison.
and it was only Black communities doing cocaine. It wasn't Hispanic communities or Asian American communities or white American communities doing crack cocaine.
Demographics for those communities.
The cocaine
Don't just
epidemic.
focus on black single motherhood.
Are you triggered, by the way?
We've all seen you be triggered on YouTube as well, so don't act like yelling and being upset is something independent to people on the left.
Well, I get yelled at more than that.
Dude,
But anyway.
Congress sort of 100 to 1.
But let me ask you a question.
for
The crack cocaine epidemic in the 1980s hit all communities. It hit the Black community the worst, but it hit all communities.
Yeah, so
Correct?
it hit all communities, but the black community the worst. Okay, so how come Congress threw a 100 to 1 sentencing disparity?
No,
with,
again, you're going to
crack
find
cocaine
you're going to find sympathy with me in the drug law argument. But what you're not going to find sympathy is that we continually subsidize through these welfare programs and then broken public schools. We can get into that, which is a complete relationship with the Democrat Party and the cartel, which is public sector teacher unions. That does not allow good teachers to be paid more and bad teachers to be fired. Yes, the public sector teacher union is a cartel.
Okay. So you're saying
It's
teachers are
advocating
paid
for
too
public
much?
sector teachers.
I'm sorry?
You're saying teachers are paid too
No,
much?
teachers should be paid more and bad teachers should be fired. Under the current way the tenure laws are written and the agreement between the state government of Texas or the state government of Kansas and the public sector teacher unions, bad teachers cannot be fired. It's nearly
Why don't
impossible
we
to
talk about
fire
police
them.
unions?
Who
Police
built
unions
the
are
public
cartels.
education system in Texas?
Democrats.
Who has been in power for the last 50 years in Texas?
Well, Republicans, just so you know, understand your history, Texas became a red state around like 88. So it was mostly Democrats that built these. So it was Lyndon Baines Johnson that was a Democrat,
Daddy.
and Kay Bailey.
Daddy.
Wait, it's
Wait,
funny.
Lyndon
So
Baines
by the way, so what did he call the Great Society Act? Since you call him Daddy, he called it. No, he called it the N-word bill. He was a bitter and committed racist.
I know he was a racist, but we still got these things through.
You mean the things that kept Black America permanently poor and kept an entire part of the American population without hope? That's
Well,
something
that's-
you're proud of?
I'm not an African American person, so I can't speak on that behalf.
But you can
And
look
I
at
don't think you are
data.
either.
What other buzzwords
I don't think
do
you
you
are
know?
either, so I don't know if you can speak
But I
on
mean,
that.
like what data do you have to argue
You can go
that?
to the library and pull it out.
Ooh.
It's plenty already.
Yes. Yes.
And the
this
arguments are
is,
much. And,
yes, this is fact.
yeah.
Yes. Like do you have throw more light on it?
Okay, one of the things I really observed there was the fact that they were trying to, the students were trying to make an argument that
Yeah.
the Americans are benefiting from other people and they are not getting the benefit from them. And so Charlie was trying to create a more formidable conversation with them, stating that whenever we're trying to do things like this, we're trying to bring up facts, not just make arguments out of context.
What you are not sure, yes.
What you're not sure of. And from the fact that he tried to establish that the Asian American has been number one in the past 50 years. You know, the Indian American has been number two, and even the American they are number three, and then Black Americans are number four over time. You know, and I think it created an heated argument basically because this person has a perspective about how they feel, maybe from the place where they came from, you know, or maybe what they have learned. You know, we get to learn every day in sequences like this, and then they also further stressed that teachers should be paid well, you know,
Yeah,
and then
that's
if
true.
we have teachers that are not being helpful in the academic sector, they should be kicked out.
Yeah.
You know, and a lot of racist thoughts were being brought up as a concern too. But I feel whenever we're making concern about a particular thing, we should not try to say that I am better than you, you're better than me. Now, there is no tribe, no country, no color that is better than another. We are all the same.
Yes, we are
You know?
one.
Yeah, we're all one.
Yes. So guys, please comment below on any video you want us to react to. Comment below and also share your view on this video. Like this video, subscribe to our YouTube channel,
Yeah.
and get Fashion Store.
Fashion makes sense.